welcome to Lesson 5A, Sports Superstitions. In this lesson, we're going to study in grammar the past tenses, the simple, continuous, and the perfect tense all together. In vocabulary, we will study some words related to sports, and also in pronunciation, we are going to study the sounds of or and Okay, let's go together. Starting with vocabulary. So let's take this quiz before we get to sports to vocabulary bank. Take a look at these pictures here. So what sport do you associate with them? Okay, let's check your answers. So here, take a look. As you can see here, we have the sports and also the words related to these images, okay? We have here number one, for example, a birdie, which is what we use to play badminton, right? A basketball hoop. In number three, we also have a hockey stick and a puck. In number four, we have the ice skates. In five, we have a bike helmet. Okay. In six, a skateboard. In seven, we have a ribbon and also a ball. In number eight, we have a glove and a ball to play baseball. Number nine, we have a paddle and a ball. And in 10, we have a black belt for those fighting sports, okay? Fantastic. Now, let's go together to page 157 and learn some more words related to sports, okay? Here, starting with this. People and places. So now you are going to pause the video and try to match these words and these pictures. Please pause the video and do it. All right. Now in letter B, we are going to listen and check your answers. Afterwards, you can cover the words and look at the pictures and try to test yourself, okay? Let's listen and check your answers.
3.2 Sports, People and Places. 3.
Captain.
7.
Coach.
1.
Fans.
5.
Players.
2.
Referee. Umpire.
9.
Spectators. The crowd.
4.
Team.
8.
Stadium.
6.
Sports arena.
Fantastic. So, these are the answers, okay? Let's continue. We learned some people and places. Now, in letter C, we are going to match the places and the sports. So here are the places and which sport is related to each of these places. Please pause the video and answer. Okay, now let's listen and check your answers.
3.3 1.
Tennis court. Basketball court.
2.
Soccer field. Baseball field.
3.
Swimming pool. Diving pool.
4.
Running track. Horse racing track.
5,
Golf course.
6,
Ski slope.
Fantastic. If there is any word you can't understand, I recommend you check a dictionary for help, okay? Okay, great. Now you can try to think of a sport and then you say where you can play it as a practice, okay? 2, verbs, win and beat. So here we need to check there is a difference between win and beat, which many times we might confuse their use, okay? So you win a game, a competition, a medal, or a trophy, but you beat another team or person and not you won. Okay, say for example, the Red Sox won the Yankees. This is not correct. The Red Sox beat the Yankees. Okay, now to practice these verbs in letter A, you will complete with the past tense and the past participles of these verbs. Pause the video and do it. Okay, so before we check the answers in A, we're going to do activity B. Complete the verb column with the past tense of a verb from A. So now you will use one of these verbs and use it to complete our column here with the verb tenses. Pause the video and do it. Excellent. Now, let's listen and check activities A and then activity B.
3.4. Verbs. A,
Beat, beat, beaten.
win, won, won.
Lose, lost, lost.
Tie, tied, tied. B, won,
Costa Rica beat the U.S. 3-0.
2,
Costa Rica won the game 3-0.
3,
The Chicago Bulls lost 78-91 to the Boston Celtics.
4,
Spain tied with Brazil 2-2.
Great, and this is how it should be written, okay? A and B. Great, now let's move on to activity D. Complete the verb column with a verb from the list. Now you will use one of these verbs to complete these sentences here, okay? Pause the video and do it. Great. Now we're going to check your answers.
3.5. 1,
Professional sports people have to train every day.
2,
Don't play tennis on a wet court. You might get injured.
3,
A soccer player has to try to kick the ball into the goal.
4,
I've started going to the gym because I want to get in shape.
5,
Our new striker is going to score a lot of goals.
6,
Would you like to go swimming this afternoon?
7,
My brothers do yoga and Tai Chi.
8,
In basketball, players throw the ball to each other.
Great, and these are also the answers, so you can check if you did them right. Okay, I recommend you check the meaning of the words you don't know in a dictionary. That will help. All right, now to finish here, We also have here this box, information box, with some phrasal verbs, okay? It's important to warm up before you do any vigorous exercise. So warm up means do light exercise to get ready. For example, for a game. So warm up is like stretch out your body, for example. My daughter works out every afternoon. So working out means exercising at a gym, for example. My team was knocked out in the semifinals. If your team was knocked out, I'm sorry, it was eliminated. All right? So learn these phrasal verbs and keep them in mind. They're very used, very common, and important for you to know, okay? Great. We finished here talking about sports. Now we move back to page 44. Exactly. Now, on page 44, we're going to study some pronunciation, or and So letter A, write the words in the correct column. Be careful with or. There are two possible pronunciations for it, okay? So now let's take a look and try to sort them out. Which words have the or sound, as in horse? Which words have the sound, as in bird? Pause the video and answer them. Fantastic. Now, let's listen and check your answers.
3.6.
Horse. Or. Court. For. Score. Shorts. Sport. Warm up.
Bird. Girl. Hurt. Serve. Shirt. World. Worse. Work out.
Fantastic. So listen again, and this time practice saying these words, okay? I would like to ask you here to check the words just to see if you were correct. Okay. Okay, great. So now I would like to call your attention to some words here. Remember that when we have W together with W, with O, for example, the pronunciation is usually as in the bird. Okay, so world, worse, workout. Okay, this is a sound we usually confuse, and therefore it's important you focus on them. Okay, great. Now you will listen and write to 6 sentences, okay? So let's listen to them and write them down. 6 sentences for you to write down.
3.7. 1.
I got hurt working out at the gym.
2.
Her serve's worse than the other girls.
3.
It was a tie. The score was 4-4.
4.
It's the worst sport in the world.
5.
We warmed up on the court.
6.
They wore red shirts and white shorts.
Great. So now try to listen again. Try to get as much information as you can and then listen again. Check to see if you got them right, okay? Now, if you already did it, let's check your answers. These are the sentences. Fantastic. Now, let's do some speaking. This activity will be performed during your class, your online class, and you can be prepared. You can prepare your answers for these questions, okay? This is an interview about sports. You're going to answer this questionnaire. So, do you like sports? If you don't, then you should answer these questions from the left. But if you do, you should answer these questions from the right. Okay, so read the questions and answer them. Okay, great. Now, moving on to next page, we will do now some reading. Do you know of any sports players who are superstitious? What do they do? Good. Now B, read an article about sports superstitions and complete it with A through F. So here we have these sentences here that you should use, okay, in order to complete this text about superstitions. So now pause the video and try to do this activity. Great. If you finish them now, let's then check your answers. So you were supposed to complete these sentences here in this order. Very nice. Okay, now moving on to letter C. You will read this article again. Who does the article say are superstitious? Sports players, sports fans, TV spectators, or all of them? Answer. Checking your answers. Exactly, all of them. Now, letter D, you will underline 5 words or phrases you want to remember from the article. And also remember to check the words you don't know. It's always a good opportunity to expand your vocabulary, okay? That's great. Now, moving on to letter E, look at the photos of 4 more famous sports people who are superstitious. Do you know what any of their superstitions are or were? So take a look here and see if you know. Okay, so now we're going to check your answers. Go to communication, other sports superstitions, sections on page 106 and 110. You will read and tell each other about the people in the photo. So here, be ready to talk about them in case you need, okay? Going to page 106. So here, you're going to read about them. Great. Now, you be ready to answer these questions. Great. Now we're going to page 110. Please read these texts here. All right, now answer these questions. All right. So, to finish here, tell me, do you have any superstitions? For example, when you were playing or watching sports or before an exam, for example. If you do, tell us about it, okay? That's great. Now we're going to move on to next page, page 46. Here we have a listening activity. So tell me, in your country, are referees well paid, respected, unpopular? What do you think somebody would want to become a referee? Okay. In letter B, you're going to hear an interview with the next Champions League soccer referee from Spain. Listen to part 1 and choose A, B, or C.
3.8. Part 1.
What made you want to become a soccer referee or football referee, as you would call it?
Mi padre fue árbitro, pero eso no me influenció.
My father was a referee, but that didn't influence me. In fact, the opposite, because I saw all the problems that he had as a referee. But as a child, I was always attracted by the idea of being a referee, and at school I used to referee all kinds of sports: basketball, handball, volleyball, and of course football. I was invited to join the Referees Federation when I was only 14 years old.
Were you good at sports yourself?
Yes, I was a very good handball player. People often think that referees become referees because they are frustrated sportsmen, but this is just not true in most cases in my experience.
What was the most exciting match you ever refereed?
It's difficult to choose one match as the most exciting. I remember some of the Real Madrid-Barcelona matches, for example, the first one I ever refereed. The atmosphere was incredible in the stadium. But really, it's impossible to pick just one. There have been so many.
What was the worst experience you ever had as a referee?
The worst? Well, that was something that happened very early in my career. I was only 16, and I was refereeing a match in a town in Spain, and the home team lost. After the match, I was attacked and injured by the players of the home team and by the spectators. After all these years, I can still remember a mother who had a little baby in her arms who was trying to hit me. She was so angry with me that she nearly dropped her baby. That was my worst moment, and it nearly made me stop being a referee.
Do you think that there's more cheating in soccer than in the past?
Yes, I think so.
Why?
I think it's because there's so much money in football today that it's become much more important to win. Also, football is much faster than it used to be, so it's much more difficult for referees to detect cheating.
How do soccer players cheat?
Oh, there are many ways. But for me, the worst thing in football today is what we call simulation. Simulation is when a player pretends to have been fouled when in fact he hasn't. For example, sometimes a player falls over in the penalty area when in fact nobody has touched him. And this can result in the referee giving a penalty when it wasn't a penalty. In my opinion, when a player does this, he's cheating not only the referee, not only the players of the other team, but also the spectators, because spectators pay money to see a fair contest.
Listen again if necessary, okay? Remember, you can always go to the script page and check the script to understand the listening, okay? The audio. Okay, so the script of this listening, you can check on page 125 of your student's book. Okay, so here you have the full conversation, so you can check if you could understand it correctly. Wonderful. If you listen to it again, you can now check your answers. These are the answers. Fantastic. Now, moving on to letter C, you will now listen to part 2. Complete the sentences with 1 or 3 words according to the audio, okay? Let's go.
3.9. Part 2.
What's the most difficult thing about being a referee?
The most difficult thing is to make the right decisions during a match. It's difficult because you have to make decisions when everything's happening so quickly. Football today is very fast. You must remember that everything is happening at 100 kilometers an hour. Also, important decisions often depend on the referee's interpretation of the rules. Things aren't black and white. And of course, making decisions would be much easier if players didn't cheat.
Do you think that the idea of fair play doesn't exist anymore?
Not at all. I think fair play does exist. The players who cheat are the exceptions.
Finally, who do you think is the best player right now?
I think most people agree that the best footballer today is Leo Messi.
Why do you think he's so good?
It's hard to say what makes him so special, but a study was done on him which showed that Messi can run faster with the ball than many footballers can do without the ball. Apart from his great ability, what I also like about him is that he isn't the typical superstar footballer. You can see that he enjoys playing football, and he behaves in public and in his personal life in a very normal way. That's unusual when you think how famous he is. And what's more, he doesn't cheat. He doesn't need to.
Listen to it again if necessary and check your answers. Great. So this is what you should have written. Okay. Great. Moving on to letter D. Do you agree with the referee that there is more cheating in soccer than before? Is it true in other sports as well? Would you like to be a sports referee or umpire? Why or why not? Okay, so write down your answer. Great. Now, let's move on to grammar. Past tense is simple, continuous, and perfect. In your country, is cheating considered a serious problem in sports? In what sports do you think cheating is most common? What kinds of things do people do when they cheat? All right, so prepare your answers for that. B. Read Taking a Shortcut about a marathon runner who cheated. How did she cheat? This is the picture of the marathon runner who cheated. Okay, so now you're going to, on page 47, you're going to read this article and be ready to answer letter C. Okay, now in letter C, you will look at the highlighted verbs in the text and answer. So here are the highlighted verbs. Which of these verbs used is or are being used for a completed action in the past? And 2, an action that happened before the past time we are talking about. And then 3, an action in progress or not at a particular moment in the past. Okay, so pause the video and answer. Great. The answers are here. Check to see if they are right. Now we're moving on to page 140 and then do some exercises about it. So let's go. Page 140, past tenses. We are going to now talk about all the verb tenses we've learned so far, okay? So starting with simple past. Worked, stopped, went, had, etc. Listen to these examples and repeat them.
3.10.
She was born in Seoul.
They got married last year.
On the way to Rome, we stopped in Florence for the night.
The plane didn't arrive on time.
What time did you get up this morning?
Ok, então vamos lá. Aqui na parte do simple past, nós vemos, né, como uma revisão que nós usamos o simple past para falar sobre ações que foram completas, que finalizaram no passado, tá? Então, é um passado que não está se repetindo mais hoje em dia, tá? Então, usamos aqui para perguntar ou para falar sobre coisas que já aconteceram e que nós sabemos, geralmente, né, quando elas aconteceram. Você pode checar na página 165 para relembrar, né, os irregular verbs, né? Temos uma listinha lá que você pode revisar os verbos e suas formas no passado. No simple past, que aqui seria se referindo à segunda coluna da lista dos verbos, tá? We also have here the past continuous. Was, were, plus a verb with ing. Repeat, please.
3.11. 1,
What were you doing at 6 o'clock last night?
2,
I was driving along the freeway when it started snowing.
3,
While I was doing the housework, the children were playing in the yard.
4,
It was a cold night and it was raining. I was watching TV in the living room.
Ok. Então, agora o past continuous, né? Nós lembramos que a gente aprendeu sobre ações que estavam em progresso, estavam acontecendo em um tempo específico do passado. Né? Então, aqui, ó, o que você estava fazendo às 6 horas da manhã na noite anterior, né? Ontem à noite. Então, estava em progresso em um específico momento do passado. Nós usamos aqui, então, o verbo to be no passado, juntamente com o verbo com ing, tá? Nós usamos, então, past continuous, né, para descrever uma ação do passado que estava em progresso, que foi interrompida por uma outra ação, que geralmente vem expressa no simple past, né? Então, por exemplo, aqui, I was driving along the freeway when it started snowing, né? Então, eu estava dirigindo quando começou a nevar. Então, a ação que interrompeu, geralmente, ela vem no simple past, ok? Aqui no example 3, né, nós usamos também aqui o past continuous com while, enquanto que, né, para duas ações que aconteceram ao mesmo tempo daí. While I was doing the housework, the children were playing in the yard. Então, ambas estavam em progresso no mesmo momento do passado. E na for, nós geralmente usamos então o past continuous, né, para descrever o início de uma história ou um anecdote, né? Então aqui, por exemplo, contando sobre algum ocorrido que tenha acontecido no passado, pode ser uma coisa assim mais trágica, né? E que hoje, quando você lembra, você dá risada, né? Então, eventos do passado em geral. Né? Que, por exemplo, it was a cold night and it was raining. I was watching TV in the living room. Então, aqui descrevendo, né, o início de uma história para dar um contexto de quando exatamente aconteceu, tá? Um evento. Now, let's move on to next column. Past perfect, had plus past participle. Listen to these examples and repeat.
3.12.
When they turned on the TV, the game had already finished.
As soon as I shut the door, I realized that I'd left my keys on the table.
We couldn't get a table in the restaurant because we hadn't booked one.
Ok? Então, aqui nós temos agora o past perfect, que é o passado perfeito, né? Nós usamos aqui, então, o had como um verbo auxiliar, mais um verbo no past participle, que é a terceira coluna dos verbos, ok? Então, para entender aqui o past perfect, né? Nós usamos o past perfect, então, quando nós estamos falando sobre o passado. E nós queremos falar sobre uma ação, né? Uma ação passada que aconteceu antes deste grande evento, do momento, né, mais importante que eu estou falando. Então, vamos supor, eu estou falando sobre uma festa, eu quero falar o que aconteceu antes do momento especial que foi a festa, né? Então, é como se fosse o passado do passado. Então, nós usamos o past perfect para relatar a ação que aconteceu antes dessa ação principal, né? Desse evento principal também do passado. Let's compare. When John arrived, they went out. Então, quando o John chegou, eles saíram. Então, first, John arrived, né? Primeiramente, o John chegou. And then, they went out. Então, eles saíram. Tá? When John arrived, they had gone out. Olhem só, então, a diferença de se usar o past perfect aqui, usando had gone, né? Então, quando o John chegou, que foi o momento especial do passado, tá? O que havia acontecido antes disso, do John chegar, ó? They had gone out. Eles haviam saído. Então, eles não chegaram a ver o John. Eles já haviam saído. They went out before John arrived. Né? Então, eles saíram antes do John chegar, antes dele ter chegado em casa. Tá? Então, aqui nós podemos, por exemplo, imaginar aqui, ó, uma linha do tempo, né? Fazer aqui, então, uma timeline. Aqui é o nosso present, né? Ó, present. Então, aqui, ó, aqui é o nosso past, né? Então, aqui é o passado. E o past perfect, geralmente, é algo que aconteceu antes do evento passado, né? Então, aqui pode ser uma festa, pode ser algum ocorrido que tenha acontecido, que eu estou falando sobre ele, né? Então, eu quero mencionar algo que aconteceu antes desse evento especial. Então, este eu vou usar o past perfect. Ele havia feito isso antes do que aconteceu no evento principal, ok? That's great. Now, using narrative tenses together. Então, quando a gente está narrando, né, uma história, falando sobre várias coisas que aconteceram, né, juntas, nós podemos usar vários tempos verbais no passado para usar, né, para poder expressar o que aconteceu. Listen to these examples and repeat.
3.13.
It was a cold night, and it was raining. I was watching TV in the living room. Suddenly, I heard a knock at the door. I got up and opened the door, but there was nobody there. The person who had knocked on the door had disappeared.
Ok, então vamos lá. Nós usamos então o past continuous, né? Was raining, was watching, to set the scene. Então, para estabelecer a cena. It was raining, I was watching TV. Ok, então estabelecendo a cena, o cenário, né? O que estava acontecendo. Use the simple past, heard, got up, etc. to see what happened. Então, nós vamos usar o simple past para expressar o que aconteceu. Então, então estava acontecendo isso aqui. Então, suddenly I heard a knock at the door. I got up, I opened the door. But there was nobody there. Então, isso aqui foi o que aconteceu. Use the past perfect, had knocked, had disappeared, to see what happened before the previous past action. Então, aqui agora nós vamos usar o past perfect, né? Para dizer o que aconteceu antes da ação prévia, né? Que é do passado. The person who had knocked on the door had disappeared. né? Então, a pessoa que havia batido na porta havia desaparecido. Então, como aconteceu antes de eu abrir a porta, né? Aí eu uso no past perfect, porque ela desapareceu antes de eu abrir a porta para checar quem era. Ok? Então, nas narrativas nós usamos esses tempos verbais. Please listen again, review the examples, make sure you can understand. And after you do that, answer these questions. In letter A, you will circle the correct form. And in B, you will complete the simple past. Complete with the simple past, past continuous, or past perfect. All right, so let's check your answers to activity A. Now checking your answers to activity B. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. Congratulations. Go back to page 46 now. On page 46 in exercise E, read the hand of God and complete it with the verbs in the right tenses. Okay, so now you are going to complete this text with these verbs. The verbs are in parentheses. You're going to choose the right way to put them here, the right tenses, okay? Pause the video and do it. Okay, so then let's check your answers. Great. Fantastic. Now check the words you don't know. Look up in a dictionary, okay? This activity here, this is speaking. You're going to tell your partner 2 anecdotes. Choose 2 of the topics below and plan what you're going to say. You can check a dictionary in case you need extra words that you haven't learned yet, okay? So read the situations and prepare a story to tell. Fantastic. So remember, when you're starting an anecdote, you should use, I'm going to tell you about a time when, or this happened a few years ago, or when I was younger. All right, so set the situation. Great. Writing, telling a story. You read a story about something that happened to you. Let's go to page 116, okay? Telling a story. This is what you should do. A magazine asked its readers to send in stories of a time they got lost. You will read the story once. Where did Bethany and her husband get lost? What else went wrong? So you will read this story, disastrous trip, okay? And after that, you will do according to what has been asked. So here in letter B, you're going to complete with these words. So pause the video and do it. Okay, checking your answers. Great. Now, useful language for getting lost. You are going to read the information box, okay? And then you will write a trip where you got lost, or you can invent one to send to the magazine. So here you have what you have to say in each paragraph. Check for your mistakes and remember to send to your teacher so she can check it out for you. Okay? Great. And to end the lesson here, we have a song activity. You will have the file on the platform. You can print it out and do the activities, okay? Right. And to conclude this lesson, you are going to page 30 and 31 from the workbook. You will answer these activities here in order to practice what you learn, okay? So actually up to page 32. I will now play this listening here so you can answer these questions.
File 5A. Listening.
Welcome back to the show. We've been talking about famous sports cheaters on today's program. And now we're going to hear about another scandal. The sport was badminton, and the venue was the 2012 Olympic Games in London. Tom is here to tell us about it. Hi, Tom.
Hello, everybody.
So, who was involved in the scandal, Tom?
Well, the scandal involved 4 of the teams in the women's doubles competition. In total, 8 players were disqualified for cheating. 2 pairs from South Korea, a pair from China, and a pair from Indonesia.
And what exactly happened?
Well, basically, the teams played badly on purpose to make sure they lost their matches.
Why would they do that?
Well, to explain that, I'll very quickly tell you about how the competition works. The matches are divided into different stages. Teams play against other teams in their group in the first stage, and if they win, they play in the next stage. So sometimes a team might get a good opponent very early in the competition, which means it might not get through to the next stage.
Got it. So when did the cheating happen?
Well, the problem started on the last day of the first stage. In the morning, the first Chinese team won its match, finishing second in its group. The second Chinese team was going to play against a South Korean team that evening, and whichever team won that match would most likely play against the first Chinese team in the next stage.
Why was this a problem?
Neither team wanted to play against the first Chinese team because the South Korean team was sure it would lose, and the second Chinese team didn't want to play against a team from the same country yet, because that would mean that only one Chinese team was left to try to win a medal. So both teams tried to lose against each other instead.
How did they do that?
Well, both the South Koreans and the second Chinese team started missing shots. When they served, they either hit the shuttlecock into the net, or they hit it so hard that it went outside the lines on the court. In the end, they looked like amateurs, when in fact, they were some of the best players in the world.
So who lost the match?
The second Chinese team. South Korea beat them in both sets.
What about the other 2 teams?
Well, they tried to do exactly the same thing in the next match.
Which teams were these again?
Indonesia and another South Korean pair.
So in both matches, the teams tried to lose instead of trying to win so they'd have a better chance of winning a medal. Is that right?
Yes, that's exactly what happened. And it was really obvious, too. All the spectators started booing. It was so bad. After the second match, there was an investigation and all 8 players were disqualified.
And what about the competition? Did it stop there?
No, it continued without the disqualified players.
And who won the gold medal in the end?
The first Chinese team. They beat the Japanese team in both sets. Actually, it was a very good match.
Tom, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Great. So finish the exercises. Let me know if you need any help. Thank you. See you next video. Bye-bye.